Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is all in the charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Drop me a comment. Make sure you click that bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live each and every single weekday on the YouTubes. I forgot to click the clicker. Guys, I got so much going on in the brain right now. It's been a very, very, very busy day. I have a very, very, very busy week. So today's live stream is going to be very quick. So I could see tomorrow's live stream being very quick as well. So we're gonna in very relatively short fashion here get through some of the charts I wanted to get through. I hope everyone had a nice weekend. Todd, Black Oil Man, I can't express enough the continued support you guys provide with the super chats. Like it, I'll say it time and time again, man. It does mean a lot to me. It really does. So apologies that the voice sounds off today. Definitely running into a head cold situation. Got a lot of congestion, and at the worst time possible with some things that I have coming up this week. But I'll man up and get through it. So doing heavy doses of ginger, turmeric, some honey, vitamin A, vitamin C, hot tea, some saline nasal spray to try to release some of this pressure. So as long as I can get good sleep, right? I hope everybody is feeling good on your end. Yeah, so, we're seeing some chippy-choppy price action. Guys, I've been telling you about this now for quite some time, past several days. This is kind of what I expected. And not really anticipating too much upside maybe in another week or two, but I think we're just going to get some sideways consolidation here for a little bit. So I thought the best thing to focus on, we're sitting here on April Fool's, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys, I didn't spend a lot of time on Twitter or X today, but there were some really cringe dad April Fool's jokes, if you want to call them jokes, on Twitter. Evan, appreciate, just let's tone it down a little bit, brother. Let's tone it down. Appreciate you, of course, being on the live stream, but don't need 1,000 comments in the comments bar. So terrible, CBG. So terrible. What's terrible, Black Oil? I don't understand what is going on. Now you made me lose my. Oh, okay. You're commenting on. Yeah. It was bad. I was scrolling through, and I'm not going to name any names, but people actually whose content I respect. I was reading some of the posts out there, and I was just like, is this supposed to be funny? Like this, it was just cringe. Like it was just very cringe. So we're not doing that today. It's April Fool's. We're not going to be doing any of that bullshit. What we are going to do is we're going to ignore this daily volatility. We don't care about that. Actually, what we do care about is we had a very important high time frame close on Bitcoin. And really today, I want to focus on Bitcoin. That is what I want to focus on because I've shared with you guys that really needs to be your number one focal point. Yes, you can look at Ethereum. Yes, you can look at Solana. You can look there for the strength of all coins. You can look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. Yes. But really your first clue in terms of what's going to happen next, and it's going to be quick, you're waiting for Bitcoin to make that decisive move. Because I've shared with you real, true momentum in this market in a true alt season, which we are so close to altcoins going ballistic. That is not going to happen until Bitcoin has that 10% plus day, right? Where you wake up and Bitcoin is at 75, 76, 77,000. That is when things are really going to start to pick up very quickly, okay? So I want to look at the monthly close, I want to look at the 3-month close, and I want to make sure that everybody isn't losing the forest for the trees here, all right? We're also going to take a look at the other thing if we have time here, which I think we will. The other thing I want to take a look at is I want to take a look at the topping signals with you guys and kind of see what they're showing us. So again, based on expectations, we don't know what month Bitcoin's going to top, but if I had to narrow it down, here's sort of my area here. Maybe this should extend into 2025, but you get the point. Now, a couple things to point out here. First off, this monthly close here, we closed, what did I say to you guys on Friday? It would be awesome if we could close the month above that psychological level at $70,000. We didn't need to, but it would certainly be very bullish, right? We closed at 71,285. That is the highest close in Bitcoin's highest monthly closing candlestick in Bitcoin's history. And still, you have a whole lot of fucktardery out there with people calling triple tops or double tops, whatever the hell they're saying. This is your confirming candlestick, so we can change that green. This is our confirming candlestick to change this to green. There's still fucktardery out there, people preying on people's emotions. I think the thing that you need to, and I'm going to put out a video, it's been on my mind. It's been on my mind, and it's something that I'd like to get out there sooner rather than later. It's actually not going to be a TA video. It's going to be the top things I need you guys to keep in mind moving forward as we enter the end of this parabola, whenever it ends, whether it's July, June, October, November, whenever it does end. Things that I need you to keep in mind and have a heightened sense of awareness to increase your likelihood for success. Okay. And again, a lot of what you're seeing right now, what I'm noticing, and I've seen this for quite some time, there are content creators out there, okay? I don't call them educators. There are influencers, content creators, who will take a day's worth of volatility and use that to prey on your emotions, right? Because Bitcoin's down 2 or 3% or whatever it was today, they'll take that and they'll put out thumbnails and they'll put out content to, again, tug on those emotional emotional strings, right? And this is where having a high time frame view and also being very seasoned within the market helps, because the volatility to me today does absolutely nothing. I just want to make it clear to you that if I had a whole bunch of additional capital on the sidelines that wasn't otherwise parked in crypto, which it is, I'm balls to the wall. Evan, again, blowing up the comments, man. Try to save I appreciate the enthusiasm, Evan, but try to hold the comments to a minimum so I can actually read everyone's comments. It's very difficult when you blow up the comments with 20 comments. One of the things that, now I lost my train of thought. You know what? I lost my train of thought. Thank you, Evan. Lost my train of thought. All right, let's get back to the charts here. So again, monthly close here, highest in history. There is no reason not to be bullish right now. Like you have to be living on a distant planet, not paying attention to what's going on, not to be bullish, right? Ignore all of the volatility going on, all right? If we look at the technicals on the monthly, I'm actually not going to pay attention for the comments for a moment because I'm getting too sidetracked. Let me focus on the analysis. Doesn't help. Also, my mind is on other things right now outside of the charts. If we look at the MACD, look at how healthy the MACD looks. Stochastic RSI is great. RSI, nowhere near our topping zone, okay? Nowhere near the topping zone. Again, where I'm looking at a topping zone, if you followed that... If you followed the peak indicators video I put out, I'm looking for this relative strength index to start to intersect the descending line of resistance and ultimately an upper area towards 90 up here. We're nowhere near that right now. We're at 75. We could still have several months of upside prior to this hitting a topping zone signal. And this brings me back to the point of why I was saying to you guys that we can't have up only. If we have up only, it's going to shorten the cycle or shorten the likelihood of the cycle, right? As price is going up, we need some periods of consolidation, right? Just like when you guys were with me back here, and we had this monumental rise up in price, right? We had several months of consolidation here and allowed the price indicators to cool off, and then we've had a massive run up, right? So it's not the end of the world. Even if this entire month turns into an indecision candle, you should be perfectly fine with that. You really should be. You have to zoom out and look at the bigger chart perspective view here. Let's look at a 3-month view and see how we're looking. I mean, the monthly looks bullish as fuck. I don't know what else to tell you. Look at the 3-month chart. We've obviously had the highest 3-month close ever in history. Again, I don't know what you're looking at if you're not bullish here. Again, you could actually draw, you could draw a descending line of resistance here, and you can still see, even if you want to use the 3-month as a topping signal, I mean, we still have a decent amount of runway up here. So, again, this 3-month chart looks so bullish. And let's take a step back for a moment, and let's try to perhaps evaluate the chart differently. Let's try to evaluate the chart differently. So what do I mean by that? So real quick, before we get into the topping indicator charts that I want to revisit with you guys and kind of see where we're at, let's make a copy of this chart. Of course, I have so many. We'll do this live on the spot. Of course, I call this a clean copy, but now we're going to get really messy. Let's get off the price indicators. Let's not pay attention to that for the time being. Let's get these lines off. Of course, we're having the 20 cross above the 50 simple moving average, which is, very bullish. I don't even know why the hell I had those marked on there in the beginning. Okay. So let's draw a area of prior confluence, or all-time high here. So this was 19,666, right? So we're going to put an orange line here, and let's take off the 20 simple moving average and the 50 even. Let's just remove moving averages. Let's just focus on price action for the moment, okay? And we're going to draw this at the prior all-time high, okay? I hate putting that in there, but that is what it is. So you can see the last time we came up here, we closed, right at it, right above it. And then we had this month come in December, and we had a little bit of some volatility to the downside under here, but we created support right at 19,666. Okay, you could create additional areas of price confluence right here of why we backtested back here, but that's not important for the sake of conversation. For the sake of conversation, what I'm trying to point out to you is what happened to price the last time we got above our blow off top. You can see we backtested it this month and then we ran, right? Let's see what's happening this time. Now, debatably, again, and this is where I would debate some technicians, for me, this 64,895, that was our impulsive blow off top. The 69,000 is our all-time high, but it was part of a corrective structure. So let's draw it on both lines and see what we're looking at, both areas. So this is 69,000. Don't know what that is. CBG used to know what that was, but doesn't have a fucking clue what that is anymore. What? Sorry, did I say that? So it looks like there's more confluence with the, we'll just keep it on the all-time high. So the all-time high is 69,000. Well, look what has happened so far. Here, we've had a more bullish close above here, right? The all-time high was 69,000. We closed at 71,285. If we go back to this prior time, you can see we barely closed above this all-time high at 19,700, okay? Back tested it this month. The preceding month, we back tested it and then ran up. Now, what are we doing the preceding month? We're back testing it. Are we going to create another green candle body and for the next several months go up similarly? We shall see. Now, the other time we had an all-time high, let's see what happened here all the way back in 2013. The high here, much different market, guys. And we should expect, this is another point of conversation that I wanted to have at some point because we haven't really revisited this, but let's take a look at price action. So you can see we had a little bit of problems with it here once we ultimately cleared off to the runway. So what we can see at these prior all-time highs here is even if we have 1 or 2 months of consolidation at the prior all-time high, we eventually take off, right? We take off after 1 month. And now will we do something similar? Again, history doesn't have to repeat, but it often rhymes, and it's the only thing that we can rely. We can't use our emotional biases in evaluating these markets. We have to allow these charts to tell us what is most indicative of a future likely outcome, right? We can't interject our emotions. If we interjected our emotions, we would make horrible investment decisions, okay? But what this chart is telling me is we are on the precipice of a massive move up. And what I was going to say back here, market dynamics today are much, much, much different. Today, in 2024, it is much different than 2013. 2013 in the crypto world was a much different environment. There were much fewer tokens, a lot less liquidity. Okay, the market was a lot smaller. Bitcoin was a lot smaller. Now you have Bitcoin on the precipice of being a multi-trillion-dollar asset. The whole industry is a multi-trillion-dollar arena. And there are a lot more serious players in the game that are within the top 10 with much larger market caps, right? So it would make sense, as by the very nature of the market capitalization growing, the types of players that are involved in the game, there's more bots, more algorithms, there's retail, there's institution. The emotional impact on the chart and the way that the chart's going to play out is a lot different today than it would have otherwise been 10 years ago. So I'm befuddled by a lot of the things that I'm still reading and listening to, where people are just absolutely glued to the halving narrative. It's astounding to me. I mean, we literally just created a new all-time high prior to the halving. You would think at some point some of these people would wake up and begin to challenge their original thesis on what they think will play out, to perhaps ask the question, will it play out differently because the market is behaving much different this time? This is not me coming out and saying I'm going to be right and all these other people are going to be wrong. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is the reason that I have been correct so far in my general expectations of the market was because I was willing to think outside the box, evaluate several charts, and not be glued to one date in history and say price has to do this or doesn't have to do that, right? Some people are still fixated to it. It's just insanity to me. Let's take a look at the topping signals real quick and ask the question where we're at within the topping signals. Now, as a revisit on the topping signals, and you can see I have them listed out here, topping signal number one is the pi cycle. Okay, this is the pi cycle. Daily chart, 2 moving averages. Not too much going on here. We're just gravitating. We kind of got peaked our head above this fast period moving average. Now we're just right around it. History says if this is going to be another indicator when we're going to have a blow off top, this slow period has to catch all the way up to this fast period moving average. So it still has, now once it starts to go, it still has quite a bit of ways, but once it starts to go, it really moves. You can see, look at the trajectory here. Look at the slow period moving average. As soon as price really starts to get above this fast period moving average, that's when the orange line really begins to pick up here. So in order for this to be a true topping signal once again, if it does play out, because there's no guarantee this will work again, but if it does, Bitcoin's got to get all the way up here past $80,000 for this orange line to really start to catch up to the blue line. So topping indicator number one is not flashing. You can see the topping indicators right here. Indicators. I am subscribed to both Tony the Bull BTC, and so you can see the topping indicators. We have 6 of them. If you haven't seen that video, make sure that you check it out. So the pi cycle is currently red. Let's go to USDT dominance. Now the USDT dominance, as a refresher, we're going to be looking at this. We're going to be looking at this on a monthly, okay? And for some reason, this is listed as number 2. Or number, where the hell are we at? Where am I at? That's great. USDT. There we go. I don't even have it listed as the topping indicator. Great job, CBG. Okay. So, as I pointed out in the video, one of the astute observations, and I'm not sure if TechDev was the first one, TechDev52, I'm not sure if he's the first one that pointed this out. Fairly certain that he pointed this out on X or on Twitter. But I'm going to at least give him credit for sharing it. I think he may have been the first one to share this. But basically what happens is, in general alignment with when Bitcoin has topped, the USDT dominance relative strength index on the monthly has hit this descending line of support. So when it touches, stated differently, when the RSI on the monthly on USDT dominance touches this downward area of support, it generally marks the top of Bitcoin within relative fashion of a month or so, okay? So, and if you think about it intuitively, it makes sense because what we're signaling here is a really low value of dominance in Tether. So not a lot of people holding, stable coins because they want to be deploying it into risk on assets, right? So it's hitting really an all-time low. As you can see here, we're getting a little bit of a bounce, okay? I have a topping signal theoretical region here sometime between May and September. It just depends how it plays out, right? If this starts to rise again or stay level, this could come in here. It might not touch until August, we'll have to see. But this has not triggered green. So we have two red signals. The third is the MVRVZ score. Let's check that one out. The MVRV, market value, realized value. Now again, this is what people pay versus, this is the price of Bitcoin on average for the market. The way to think about this in layman's terms, this is a comparison of what's Bitcoin worth today versus what people paid for it in the past. Really high scores, a really high Z-score, okay, a really high ratio, means that essentially people are in big profits. A really low score means people are at a real big loss, right? So it indicates really frothy times and really oversold times. Easiest way to look at it. Okay, so let's take a look at this MV or VZ score. Why is this not populated? Oh, here we go. Yes, it is populated. I just need to zoom out. So as we can see, this is nowhere near top. Is this accurate? Is it really this low? Wow, I didn't think it was this low. Okay, we're nowhere near topping. We have a descending area of resistance here. The other thing we can pull up, if you don't want to pull this up, by the way, on look into Bitcoin MVRVZ score. So if you don't want to pull this up on TradingView, you can see what I'm using here, the indicator. Is my face in the way? Let me see. No, my face is not in the way. You can see. So my beautiful face is located right below what this indicator is. You can pull this up in TradingView. But if you wish to choose it up on Look into Bitcoin, you can go to this URL here. And I can't find it. Yeah, right here. So you can go into this URL, lookintobitcoin.com. You can actually just Google it, lookintobitcoin.com, MVRVZ score. Guys, appreciate the support. Appreciate all the viewers, but not seeing a lot of engagement. Again, if you appreciate the content, it takes 2 seconds out of your day so we can try to get this content out to more people. But you can see the MVRVZ score here. And you can see we're still relatively low compared to historical norms. So we're nowhere near anywhere of a topping zone. Again, we don't have to hit this descending line of resistance. We could undershoot it. We could overshoot it. But as soon as we touch this descending line of resistance, that's what's going to trigger a green signal to me. And again, this highlights the importance, guys. If you're following what I'm saying, I'm not telling you any one of these indicators is going to fire green in relative fashion when Bitcoin has topped or is going to top. That's the whole premise of having 6 indicators. We don't have 100 years of... Look, again, just want to level set the conversation for everyone new to the channel. I am an actuary. Google what an actuary is. I'm a math guy, data guy. I understand the relevance and importance of a large sample set. In statistics, for something to truly be statistically significant, we need a very large sample set, right? Very large sample set. For things to be deemed credible, depending upon what product line you work in as an actuary, like I'm a pricing actuary, you need years and years and years of price data to look at, right? When you're pricing a case for life insurance, you need thousands of life years to be deemed credible, right? So we don't have 100 years of price data. We got like 12 years, right? So intuitively, I recognize via common sense and being a data guy, I can't look at any one of these 6 and say, well, it's worked before and it's going to work again, right? I recognize that. That's why we're using 6. Maybe only 4 or 3 or 4 or 5 of these flash green, and that indicates our topping signal, and that's where the subjectivity comes in. But for the first 3, the MVRV, the USDT dominance, and the Pi cycle, none of them have flash green. Let's take a look at the Puell multiple real quick. Now, the Puell multiple is another on-chain metric. And what this looks at, and the reason that I really value this metric, is because it's evaluating essentially if miners are in profit. Now, this statistical value, it's actually pretty simplistic, but this statistical value is value added for cryptocurrency because it's really unique to the space. We're looking at miners, right? First, we're looking at profit, which you could typically look at with a stock, and you're looking at with Bitcoin. You're asking the question with the MVRV Z-score. It's a ratio. Let's forget the Z-score. You're looking at market value and realized value, just asking if people are in profit. That's all you're asking. Here, you're looking at miners, the people actually helping to facilitate the production of Bitcoin, and you're asking if they're in profit or not, okay? And so with this Puell multiple, we can do something very similar. We can take a look at historical heights when this multiple has been at a heightened range and it has indicated a topping area. Now, as you can see here, I don't know why this isn't auto-scaling, you can see there's really a historical value up. The descending line for this one doesn't work. There's really a historical area right in here where we indicate if we're frothy, right? This still hasn't triggered. We're all the way down here. We started getting a little heated up here, right? Now we've cooled off, right? This is why it's important for price consolidation, guys. If you don't keep this in mind, follow the logic here. I'm going to work backwards. If you want your altcoins to hit the highest possible USD price they can hit, okay, you need Bitcoin to hit the highest USD value it could possibly hit. And if you want Bitcoin to hit the highest USD value it could possibly hit, we need a greater extended period of time. We don't want things to top too soon. The shorter the duration of time, the shorter the top. The longer the duration of time, the longer the top in Bitcoin in relativity terms. The shorter the top in Bitcoin, the less amount of excitement, exuberance, and capital that's available for your altcoins, the shorter the targets, the lower the targets. The higher Bitcoin goes, the more frothy and excited the market is, the more profits people have, the more enthusiasm, the higher the targets your altcoins will go. Do you follow the logic? So it's good that we're consolidating, guys, okay? The Puell multiple is in red right now. We haven't topped. Let's look at our 5th indicator. It's the RSI MACD. Now, this one we're first looking at on the weekly, right? Remember, this is one of these two indicator items, right? So we're looking at, you can see it was originally 2, and then I listed it as 5. Evan just can't help himself. He just has to blow up the comments. I don't understand it. All right. This is the weekly, okay? Now, as you can see, this criteria here, I want the MACD and the RSI. Now, the candlestick has to print. That's the thing. We could be in the midst of a week, but if it prints, it doesn't confirm. We could be on a Wednesday, and we're seeing confirmation, but if we print on Sunday and we lose it, that isn't positive confirmation, okay? We need the candlestick to print. I've circled it here. We want to hit the descending line of resistance here, and we want to get anywhere in this zone between 90 and 95. If that happens, we're changing green to yellow. One of the 2 indicators has flashed. We go to the monthly. We ask the question, has the RSI gotten all the way up here, which it hasn't? Then that would trigger a green signal. As you can see, none of these have triggered. So we're not in a topping area for any of these. And the last indicator for 6 are my friends' indicators, which is the oscillator for tech dev and the not the raging bull, the bullseye for Tony the Bull. And none of those have triggered. I can't pull those up because they're proprietary, but none of those have topped. The other one I wanted to take a look at, and I'll take a look at the comments and sift through Evan's comments since he's blowing everything up, and he causes me more work because I have to weed through all of his comments to get to everybody else. Again, Evan, last time I'm going to ask you, please, for the love of God, I appreciate your enthusiasm a great deal, but stop blowing up the comments, man. Just tone the shit down. Dear God, it makes my life a lot more difficult. You don't want to make my life more difficult, right? Is it this indicator? Or these 3? Remember we looked at this, and the unique thing, this is on the monthly for Bitcoin. When all 3 of these triggered bullish, it spelled massive upside. All 3 of these are still bullish. We have the Vortex indicator, the Traders Dynamic Index, and the ADX and DI. All of these are still flashing bullish. Okay, I have to widen this up a little bit. Okay, this is the one we were waiting on, which flashed a month or 2 ago. Guys, all of this, again, when all of these flash bullish, you can see continued upside. You can see continued upside. All 3 didn't flash bullish until last month. So we're only 2 months? Is it 2 months in? We're only 2 months into this flashing bullish. Historically, as this starts to flash bullish, I mean, you can see here we had like 7 months. Here we had an extended period of time. I don't know. How many months was this, really? I don't know. This might have been like 12 months or 13 months. So this, again, if we're using history as a precedent for what we can relatively expect moving forward, this says we've only begun to just flash bullish. And some of this, and that's why when I look at some of these macro indicators, it leads me feeling like as much as I'm still leaning towards a blow-off top occurring in relative fashion a lot sooner than people think, I absolutely see the argument that this really could extend into late 24. I absolutely see the argument for that. And I've told you before, I hope from a pure timing perspective that I am wrong. I hope Bitcoin does not top in June or July. I hope that does not happen. Because, number one, I was very transparent with you. A lot of my Caspa buys were in, July, August, even September. I want to sell those things at long-term capital gains. But the other reason is because the longer roadway that I just explained to you, and I've indicated several times on this channel, the longer the roadway there is for price appreciation, accumulation, consolidation, the higher the theoretical targets we should see. So we'll see. We'll kind of see what happens, but that's why we have the topping indicators. I'm not going to, excuse me, my voice, oof. I'm not going to give into my emotional bias in terms of a timing or price expectation of what I want to see or what do I expect to see. I'm going to allow this empirical data to work for itself. And as things become overheated, when 3 of these, because I can tell you more than likely when 3 of the 6 start to fire green, I'm going to start to sell some of my Bitcoin. Okay, that's just using history as a precedent for making a logical, well-informed decision, right? And I would encourage you to consider taking a similar approach, even if you don't like my approach for whatever reason, and I respect that. Even though I'd like to hear the argument, because I quite frankly wouldn't understand it without an argument. But I think this is a very empirically based, logical way to approach selling. That's a bad freeze frame right there on my face. It's a bad freeze frame. But I think this is a very good approach because it's not going to allow my emotions to feed into my selling decisions. And the other thing, the nice thing about this is when I have decided to start selling my Bitcoin, I also know that in relative fashion, whatever I see in the altcoins, they should be lining up very shortly with price targets that I have. And I can start selling my altcoins, and I can also base decisions on selling my altcoins within the ranges I have on where Bitcoin's topping. If Bitcoin is topping on the lower end of what I had expected, I'm going to be more aggressive in my selling on my altcoins because those altcoins, in my opinion, will underwhelm. If Bitcoin meets my expectations or exceeds my expectations, I'm going to be more aggressive or more how do I want to word that? I'm going to be more, I'm going to let things ride a little bit more because I deem those assets to potentially be hitting possibly higher price targets. All right, let's get into the comments here, get off my face, and see if we have any quick questions. I think we're at time here, so sorry I didn't get to the comments too much. Good evening, Logical Move. Good to see you in Norway. Very, very nice. Digibyte's having a very nice move. Yes, indeed it is. It's up 23.5% today. Having a very good move. Josh, let's fucking go. Where the hell's Oof at? Oh, there he is. I missed your comment, Oof. Let's fucking go, brother. I missed you. I don't know how I missed you there. Because of all the super chats. Todd and Black Oil. Thank you, kind sirs. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. 100,000 in 18 days. All right, Evan. I think we just took a look at XEP recently, actually. Hey, Frankie, good to see you, my friend. Oh, man, I just answered that, Rob. Nothing's changed there. I'll get excited. I'll get excited about Digibyte. Let me pull up the Digibyte chart real quick. I appreciate the Digibyte fam community checking in. I'll show you where I'm going to get really excited about Digibyte. Of course, you know my Digibyte videos out there. This thing is set to skyrocket, in my opinion. On the 2-week, you can see the ADX and DI is starting to fire off here. We haven't seen that since all the way back here in our massive move. Looking at just allowing the charts to speak for themselves, where would I start to get? Now, I think we're going to just, I'm cutting around here, but where do I think we're going to run into a lot of resistance? Where we ran into it here, right? I'm going to look to the past and say, okay, well, anywhere between really 2.5 cents upwards of 3.8 cents. That's going to be a big area for us, right? So 2.5 to 4 cents is going to be a big area of resistance. Once you see Digibyte starting to clear up in this area, once it's above like 4.5 cents, that is the time to get really fucking excited. Because I think things are going to start taking off pretty dramatically. So we will wait and see. But I own a pretty fat stack of Digibyte. Been holding it for a while. H Barbarian XX. Glad to see a fellow H Barbarian in here. Bitcoin to 82,000 on April 18th. Mark my words. Well, generally that never works out. But I'll probably forget that you commented that. Generally, specific price targets on specific days are one of the worst things that you could say. But so I'll take it with a grain of salt. But thank you for the comment. Neffy, welcome in, my friend. I have not seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for dropping by, my friend. Earthwalker, good to see you in here, my friend. Greg, yeah, I know Greg, Rashid, it's let's fucking go, my friend. It's let's fucking go, brother. But good to see you in. How do you plan on selling things you bought on Mexi? So this is a really good, Ricky, welcome in, man. Good to see you. So let me answer this question real quick, because I think Black Oil, you reached out to me or someone. I'm pretty sure it was you. You DM'd me. Let me just say this. It fucking sucks what's going on with Mexi. Mexi was the place that I purchased, did a little bit of leverage, and also purchased some gems that aren't otherwise available on other platforms in the United States, right? Let me just first say this. You do what works for you, but I'm going to tell you what works for me. I don't plan on doing anything stupid or foolish. I don't plan on using a VPN and using exchanges I'm not supposed to be using, and risk getting in trouble with the government, the SEC. I don't really fucking feel like doing that. I have no reason to. I'm financially well off and doing fine for myself. Life's going pretty good. Don't want to fuck things up. So I have no reason to do that. So all kidding aside, how do I plan to approach this? Well, number one, we have until June 30th. right? The biggest way that this impacts me, Greg, to get at the heart of your question is I have a few very low entries on some meme coins I got into, right? Like I joined you on, or was it OOF, I think, on the meme AI. I think it was OOF and I. Meme AI. But like I threw a couple $100 at that. So that's nothing. I'm going to let that sit there until we I think we're entering, people think memes are frothy right now. It's going to get a lot more frothy. So I'm going to let that sit there and see if I can't get some more appreciation on that before I have to sell out. So that those things I'm not worried about. The bigger one I am worried about, and the way it does impact me, is it's how I've purchased Clore AI. I don't know any other on-ramp in the United States for Clore AI outside of Mexi. So that is where I'm really torn. I am torn on how much of my Clore AI I'm ultimately going to self-custody, because I'm not going to sell all of it. But at the moment, it really forces me, backs me into a corner to have to sell some of it and invest it in something else. Now, I don't have to make this decision, and you don't need to make this decision until June, right? So we got some time. I still think that based on where we're at within the cycle, we should see some potential. If alt season really is coming as soon as I believe it will be coming, and April and May are as glorious as they have the potential to be, I'm okay sitting in my Clore AI for now. But I will say, unless if something changes from an exchange listing perspective for Clore specifically, I'm going to be looking to scale out of a lot of my investment in Clore. I have to, because there'll be no exit ramp for me to sell. So, Greg, that's how it really impacts me, and it sucks. It really sucks. But at least it isn't something. At least it's not a situation like with XRP where it was getting delisted from Coinbase and you had to make a really quick decision. At least we have until June 30th. There's still, basically you have another 3 months, right? So this isn't immediate. It still gives, the way I look at it, I'm not waiting until last minute. It gives me April and May to make a decision, right? April and May. So the only way it materially impacts me, let's summarize. The only way it materially impacts me, Clore AI. I plan to hold my Clore AI, hoping that we do see some appreciation in the next couple months, at which point, unless if something materially changes from an exchange listing perspective, I'm gonna have to offload some of my Clore AI. That's the way it goes. I actually reached out, believe it or not, I reached out to the team over at Clore AI and asked them if they have any. I'm sure they can't comment. At least they can say something, but any imminent or relatively shorter term possibilities of being listed on a U.S. exchange. Because if they're not, even if Uphold doesn't list them or someone doesn't list them, I can't have a portion of my what I would consider to be a material portion of my asset allocation sitting in something that I can't sell. It sucks. It fucking sucks. But that's really the only way that it does impact me, because all of the other assets that I hold, which I self-custody for the most part, most of them, I have some sitting on exchanges, but most of them I self-custody. I have off-ramps, right? I have Uphold for Caspa. I have Coinbase, Gemini. You can even use Kraken. So several different spots. Greg, did you see my video on Caspa? Oh, where will you sell Caspa? Uphold's the only option, my friend. Uphold is the only option. So I've been doing, actually, I did all of my purchases on Caspa through Uphold. And I have not sold a single Caspa. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it. We're really running up against time, and this had to be a shorter live stream. So I hope you appreciated the content. If you did, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Drop me a comment and make sure to click that bell icon to know when I go live each and every single weekday. As a reminder, I will be back tomorrow for the live TA Q&A. It might need to be more of an abbreviated live stream just because, again, this is a pretty important week for me. I have some things going on. Also, as you can see, for some reason, I was looking up margarita mixes here. That never came fruition this weekend, but maybe I can make that happen this week. I was looking at this one, this jalapeno, cilantro, and lime margarita, but I got to tell you, I got to be feeling better because there's no part of me that feels like having a drink or anything. So, all right, guys, take care of yourself. I will see you tomorrow. Until next time, let's all spread awareness and carry the education forward. Take care, everybody.